A year of love, with a dash of salt and a little bit of pepper. July 19th, 2024. I remember that day so vividly. But before we begin, let's hear a few words from some friends of mine. Take it away, guys.
I don't remember how I met Pepper, but from the interactions we have had, I think she is a really funny and great person to interact with. I first found out about Pepper during my time in the BBC fandom, and ever since then, she has really shown to be a very kind person to be around. I've even used one of Pepper's videos for a background in one of my videos. Pepper and Aaron are a great couple, and I hope they make it very far into their relationship. Kudos to them. I hope they both have a bright future. This is Random Videos signing off. Love you both.
My message of gratitude from Minner Jones. That's me. Hello. All right. To Pepper. When I first joined this community back in August of 2024, I was quite nervous to talk to people. Prior to joining, I typically wasn't one to interact with people in the online world. Back around that time when I first joined what is now TimG's private server, I didn't really plan on talking to anyone there. However, I began to open up, and one of the first conversations I recall having happened to be with you. It was a brief interaction about underswap, and even if it was brief, that helped me a lot with social anxiety upon first joining. And it made me feel more welcomed into this community. Now that's something that I personally remember and am very grateful for. When I began to join the nightly VCs in the Aaron and Lucas server, one of the things I recall greatly is the enthusiasm expressed by everyone in the call when you join. People seem to really appreciate your presence in the calls. And while I don't know you personally really well, it seems like you've brightened many people's lives, and there's something wonderful about that. So with that in mind, thank you for the time you spent with all of us, and thank you for helping me become more comfortable with this community. Take care.
Salutations, Pepper Boop. From as far as my faulty memory goes, I remember we first crossed paths involving one of my projects. I felt like one of the only few that cared about my work. But that was not it. You also cared for me as well. The first direct message to me in my private server was you complimenting me on my characters, and wishing I get better whilst dealing with cancer treatment. You are one of the many reasons I continued forward, alongside Aaron. You both gave me support when I was at my lowest. You both wished me a happy birthday when the time came. You both came to check on me when I wasn't doing well mentally or emotionally, or both. You both served as best friends to me in a dark era of loneliness for me. I recently reread our DMs. I realized how one-sided it was. I wish I responded more. I wish I checked on you more. And I'm sorry for not responding to your kind words. They did mean a lot to me. You both mean a lot to me. I just wish I could have expressed it to you more. I'm happy to see that you and Aaron are still together. Seeing both of you together is nice. Like I said, I consider both of you to be my best friends. And you two being lovers made things happier. I wish I did more for both of you. I wish I did more for all the people who did things for me. I feel terrible about it. But I guess there's one thing I can do, or say. Thank you, Pepper and Aaron, for everything. Farewell. Tim G's surname.
Dear Pepper Boop, this may be a little lackluster, but I hope what I have here is enough to make you smile. I can recall the first times I've ever interacted with Pepper. It was a day like no other. I was managing my current Baldi's Basics mod at the time, BBKCM, otherwise known as Baldi's Basics Kickstarter Content Madness. I vaguely remember Pepper showing interest in this project because it shares similarities to BBCCS, Baldi's Basics Character Calamity series, and a strong replayability value. Pepper was very supportive of me and the others, helping to lift us up while we were down. Pepper was even kind enough to submit concepts to the game that were actually accepted, but never actually got added due to the game's inevitable cancellation. Pepper was always a pleasure to have around. I think they are quite funny and cool to be with as a person. I am so glad that Aaron was able to get into a happy relationship with you. I hope I would like to wish Pepper luck on their future endeavors and pursuits. Thank you for the amazing time you spent as a part of our little family, Pepper. Much due respect, Dreamcast Nick. Real.
How I feel about Pepper. What I know about Pepper, he is a very interesting fella, but also a kind-hearted person. Before I remember that he was a personal part of the BBC's community around like 2023 or somewhat. That I reacted to his live streams, such as Joestar speedruns and much more on his channel. However, I do support that Aaron and Pepper were together. I was very supportive of Pepper about how great were of Pepper's characters and all such. However, the only thing that I could know that such great laughs and happy memories when Pepper was in the PC, it always brings me joy. And during Roblox, that shows all of the basic tricks and actions. And sometimes in Sonic you see the disaster that may have gone overboard that I immediately go straight to Pepper to kill off, so I apologize. But after all, it's all a great experience and shows how great Pepper is. By DK2007, which is me. End of recording.
December 1st, 2023. The first DM. Pepper Boop changed their status to DM me the word bread for a surprise. Still new to being active on Discord, I DM'd them the word bread. That's when I learned what the breadening was. I was then forced to change my status to DM me the word bread for a surprise. January 26th, 2024. The second DM and the true start to a strong friendship. Pepper Boop changed their Discord bio. I don't know what made me decide to check that day, but I'm glad I did. Their bio was them venting about not being happy and that they would be deleting Discord. I DM'd Pepper, "Hey, I saw your About Me text, and I just wanted to ask if you're alright. I would have asked sooner, but I assumed you left for good." To my surprise, Pepper responded. They explained that at the time they weren't doing well, but they came back to Discord because they knew people would DM them. They also claimed I was the only person to notice their bio. I told them that I hope they feel better, and that if they ever needed to talk, I'd try to make myself available for them. February 2nd, 2024. Pepper DM'd me, and we just kinda checked up on each other. March 1st, 2024. Pepper Boop and I have been talking somewhat regularly, building up a positive friendship. We discussed problems we were both having in life along with other negative feelings. That's when I made a promise. I promised Pepper Boop that any situations or problems we had in life, we'd face them together. We were both in similar situations, but I wasn't going to let them go through their problems alone, like I was doing. Throughout the month of March, we talked regularly, making sure we were both okay. I mean, when you have two mentally unstable teenagers ready to lose everything at the drop of a hat, you never know what could happen. March 8th, 2024 is a prime example of that. Neither me or Pepper were feeling well mentally. But despite having never known this person in the real world, I was actually scared for them. Why did I feel so strongly for someone I never met? Of course, we were able to talk and that made things better. But I still didn't understand why I was feeling what I did. April 16th, 2024. It was an average Tuesday for me, but little did I know that big things come from small, little actions. Pepper Boop texted me at 6:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. "Alright, screw this. Day one of making sure you're okay. Yes, I'm doing this, lol." I was shocked, but at the same time, I accepted it. How could I not? An excuse to DM someone that I was becoming close friends with. To my surprise the next day, Pepper Boop texted me again asking how I was doing. They were really taking this seriously, and it was at this time I turned it into a little competitive game. It became a race to see who could DM the other first. For as great as Pepper is, they were usually slower on the draw. Can't blame them though, I've always been quite fast. Pepper really cared for me just as I really cared for them. However, I was currently in a relationship at the time, and because of this, I refused to push the friendship further. June 2nd, 2024. It was a Sunday afternoon when I broke up with my partner at the time. I was feeling lost, empty. However, as the daily DMs with Pepper continued, I began to feel an emotional attachment, one that seemed stronger than what I felt with my last partners. It wasn't long before I realized I began developing a crush on Pepper. I would begin editing my DMs to Pepper saying, "I love you," before deleting them to see if they'd notice, or if they felt the same. I began to make it clear that I had feelings for them, but it seemed they never noticed, and I began to feel like an idiot. Me possibly having a crush on Pepper became a running joke in the DMs, or at least they treated it as a joke at the time. I was scared to ruin what was a great friendship, and I would consider to have been my healthiest friendship at the time. I needed to tell someone that I had a crush, just to get it off my chest. That someone was Casey. June 5th, 2024. Pepper would leave for a while to catch up on studying. I would continue to DM Pepper, updating them on anything that happened while they were gone. Truth is, while they were gone, that's when me having feelings for them reached its peak. Pepper Boop would return on June 8th, and we continued to talk daily. It was at this time I really began to question my feelings for them. Then, on June 19th, 2024, everything changed. I was eating dinner, mashed potatoes, green beans, corn, and chicken. The day had been quiet, boring. I decided to look at my phone just to see if any of my friends bothered to reach out to me since I was pretty inactive. I saw I had a notification that Pepper DM'd me, and I opened Discord happy to see whatever memes or jokes they sent. When I saw that there were 30 unread messages, my heart dropped. I felt dizzy, confused, and worried. Was this it? Did someone find my search history? Did someone leak my nudes on Twitter.com? Casey went out of his way to DM Pepper asking them if I told them I had a crush on them. He then said, "Never mind. I like you too." I read through the messages before responding. Pepper would go on to respectfully reject Casey, and before I knew it, I was in another relationship. At the time, I was scared to get into another relationship, as all my previous ones failed or fell flat. Because of this, I was very hesitant to start a relationship with Pepper and open up to them. I was scared to be hurt again. However, I trusted Pepper. We had deep conversations and talked about heavy topics before, but Pepper never did anything to hurt me. They were always there, always ready to help or listen, always there with a lot of love to give. That same night, we decided that we were a couple, and I couldn't be more happy or grateful. The following year, from July of 2024 to July of 2025, I have been at my happiest. I have been able to just be myself and feel accepted and loved for it. Following the start of the relationship, I would go on to draw Pepper's OC quite often, to the point where Pepper's OC made it into several thumbnails from my streams on YouTube. Pepper gave me motivation to better myself and to be the best version of me. And any time I was at my lowest, they were there to pick me back up, dust me off, and send me back on my journey. And whenever Pepper needed it, I'd do the same for them. Even at a point in time when I resorted to self-harm, Pepper showed me better ways to handle things. When I needed to talk to someone, Pepper always made themselves available, and I would do the same for them. Pepper would go on to inspire me to get better at art, writing, and to even help my streaming career. Pepper pushed me to achieve great things, and I'm forever grateful that we were given the chance to talk and connect. Honestly, if it weren't for them, I likely wouldn't still be here. I love you, Pepper. Thanks for making this year amazing, and for making me the happiest I've been in quite a long time. Sincerely, Aaron.